Hello everybody, welcome to the Redmen TV and your fan interactive show after Liverpool were beaten 2-1 by Newcastle United in the Carabao Cup Final. Bitterly disappointing result, performance, afternoon, day, all the rest of it really. This is the part of the show where you tell me what we made of it all. This is where you get to voice your opinion, anger, ask questions, anything you so wish. It was pretty bleak, wasn't it? Ultimately, we spend a lot of time on this show, on different shows, analysing football to the nth degree, and what could we do better? We discuss a lot of different things, tactically, system-wise, personnel-wise. I honestly believe, ultimately today, all it really boils down to is the fact that they wanted it far more than we did. We didn't match their intensity across the pitch. We barely won a battle up until the 80th minute onwards, when Newcastle sat deep and we had all our attacking players on. We never really stirred or mustered anything like sustained pressure. Credit to the lads that come on. We'll address some personal performances as we go along. We'll do that in a play ranking show as well. They actually showed a little bit, but honestly, to a man, it was below par. Certainly out of those that started, it was pretty abysmal. Painful watch. Disappointing. It should never have been a mismatch against Newcastle, but here we are. A few super chats to address before I dive into the chat itself. Q Blaze, thank you very much. As Elliott was our best player, hands down. Disrespected so much by Slot, got it all wrong. Jota's been poor since he came back. Yeah, we made the point about Jota early on. I agree with you on Elliott as well, by the way. I thought he was. He was... Within the space of 5 minutes, he played two really incisive passes, one into the feet of Núñez, got his touch wrong, one into Chiesa, one into Jones, and then again into Chiesa for the actual goal itself, and just showed energy and that little bit of desire and fight that we were so desperately in need of, and it was so desperately lacking. Paul Machin said it best: LFC needs to stop breaking our hearts. We'll go far in conference for the sake of going far. Slot and FSG are to blame. Yeah, I mean, as for the last bit, sound. Slot probably did get a few things wrong today. We definitely look very leggy. We do look like, we need this break, potentially, I think it's fair to say. I think the past few weeks have been that as well. It's one thing, and I touched on this earlier on, being in control of matches and being able to sort of just dominate possession and just outpatience teams, really, which is what we've done really well so far this season, in the most part. But then when a team is up for it, and above and beyond our intensity levels, you have to be able to match that, and we just haven't done at all, not even close to it, which is where it's so disappointing, like I say. So I just lost the chat there. I was trying to get it back while I'm talking, but yeah, we didn't even get close to them today, and that's what's so disappointing about it. And it would have just taken, I even thought at half-time, we deservedly went in 1-0 down, don't get me wrong, but even for second half, come out and show a little bit, You've had that 45 minutes. You've got that out the way now. Now's your time to actually learn and be better in the second half, like we've done so often this season as well. But it wasn't. It was the opposite of that. Only one team wanted to win today. Wouldn't even bet on us winning. I mean, thankfully, the luxurious cushion we've got on ourselves in the league means we could probably sort of coast to that now. But I take your point entirely, because on the evidence of today, you wouldn't think we were going to win anything, truthfully. It was that poor. It really was. And credit to Newcastle. Let's get that out there now. Deserved winners, by far the better team on the day. Probably our worst performance, one of our worst performances of the season, up there with Nottingham Forest and Plymouth for me. And to put it in a final on an occasion like that at Wembley is tantamount to unforgivable. Really poor. Yeah. Martin Lawrence says, poor performance. I've saved his questions over Jota starting. There's no way he's playing better than Núñez and Elliott and Chiesa. Yet again, the Jota conversation was one we had in depth earlier on, and I think he's been really poor recently, and today didn't help his cause whatsoever. And the Brit Sniper says, I really hope this doesn't have a knock-on effect for the rest of the season. I know we are far ahead in the league, but it feels like the season is slowly petering out. Chiesa needs to be used more. Yeah, Chiesa was good when he came on, give him his credit, because I've been quick to sort of dismiss his chances of playing any footy based on the lack of it we've seen. Jota's legs are toast. Yeah, Jota's really in a rut at the moment, isn't he? As for the league, I'm not going to, try and be overly positive, because there's not much to be positive about, truthfully. But it does, listen, this mini break now for internationals might have come at the perfect time, potentially, in terms of a small reset, so we can see out the remainder of the campaign. But it does feel as though we might just limp over the line a little bit. Now, listen, that might look like winning the league by 6, 7, 8, 9 points or whatever. But I do think we've still got more than enough about us to get over the line in the league. But at the same time, make no two ways about it, like, we were battered today. Second best in every single department today. It was bleak. First time I'm not looking forward to a derby. That's not a game you want. Again, thankfully, I think it's like 17 days until that comes around. But yeah, right here and now, I'm dreading that game of football myself. And I'm usually ultimately extra positive about Liverpool, but it's difficult right now. AJ Labroy says, what is going on? Are we going to win the league? I'm not sure. Again, I think we will. Thankfully. But it's hard to imagine it right now. Laney says, Slots management case has been criminal. Listen, yeah, obviously, again, you know, he comes on today, he does look sharp, he does look lively, he offers something we were severely lacking in attack. Likewise, Harvey Elliott, I think he falls into the same category as well. The only thing I'd say, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors in training, day in, day out. Like, we don't know the levels Chiesa in particular has been reaching in training for a long time. Like, he came with serious fitness issues. Yeah, the mini pre-season, midway through the season. Like, how much of his underuse, if you want to call it that, has been down to performance levels or ability levels, as opposed to simply being ready to play 90 minutes of football? I would imagine a lot would fall on the latter. Even 30 minutes at times, it felt like he hasn't been up to the task. I think the midweek decision to go with Gakpo, a clearly unfit Gakpo, over Chiesa, probably does need looking at a little bit closer. But yeah, it's so difficult to second guess a manager like Arne Slot, and I'm aware right now he's public enemy number one, more or less, because we've just been beaten in the final, and convincingly so as well, because we were massively underwhelming. However, we're still sitting top of the Premier League, and the likelihood is we'll go on to lift that trophy. So I'm not going to be too critical of him. So, given all that, I don't think we can really point the finger and say, why have you not used Chiesa more? Because he knows where Chiesa's been. He knows what level he's been at since he arrived at the football club, more or less, and we're not privy to that, unfortunately. Holly Bobs, this one as well first. No signings relying on 13 players. Calls this. Listen, for the second point, and the signings point equally as well, but we've just touched on 2 players. You could throw Wataru Endo into the mix. You could throw whoever the fourth attacker's been into this conversation as well. There've been options in and around the squad for a while. I do think the lack of rotation has hurt us at times this season. I'm not necessarily pinning all that on today. We can do if we really want. But I've been at the forefront of the argument to rotate more. I felt like it was going to come back and bite us on the arse. And I know hindsight's 2020, and I'm not sort of sitting there smugly, having watched our recent performances, thinking I fucking told you so. That's not my game at all. But I have said since the start of the season, since early on, since it became apparent that Slot didn't like rotating that much, you've got to be careful, because some of these lads aren't equipped or accustomed to going 90 minutes week in, week out and putting in top level performances as they go along. And I think we are starting to see us just tire a bit as the season comes into the running, unfortunately. And listen, we've been eliminated from 2 competitions, one of them in a final, in the space of a few days. So yeah, Craig Tibb says, if Chiesa performs like that compared to our static front line, does it matter what goes on behind the scenes? Goals, energy, win games? No, ultimately, yeah. Silence. I'm not disagreeing with Chiesa and how much better he looked than everyone else today, by the way, because he did. He absolutely did. But 3 weeks ago, he might have not been fit to play 10 minutes of football for Liverpool. We don't know. You know what I mean? Like, we just, that's all I'm saying. Like, I'm with you, and I've just said there, I think we've underused Chiesa. I definitely think we've underused Harvey Elliott. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt this season. And this is what I'm saying about the rotation. Even getting more Elliott onto the pitch for 20 minutes, half an hour, and allowing Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch a rest at times as well. I would have done that. I would have done it in games as well, in terms of like literally starting with somebody else instead of somebody else. But he's gone with the tried and tested same 12, 13 players week in, week out. And it's got us to a very good point. It got us to, penalty shootout in the Champions League, albeit eliminated. It got us to the final of the Carabao Cup, and it's gotten us to 12 points clear at the top of the Premier League. So what happens between now and then remains to be seen, and that's where we can start questioning the decision making, like we're doing right now, ultimately. But prior to today, I don't think anybody could really stick the knife in and criticise Arne Slot with the job he's done. However, this comment tends to disagree. Slot has no clue in big games. All the time plays one threat on the pitch today, I think that's meant to say. He can't play out from man marking. He didn't learn from the PSG match. No, and listen, it's interesting that because Newcastle do implement a very similar style to PSG in terms of that 1v1, very aggressive, quite brave man marking system. And I did wonder whether they'd go with that today because he does swap and changes sometimes, Eddie Howe, but he did, to his credit, and we didn't live it at all. And that's when it comes down to not winning your battles, not winning individual 1v1 duels. And we lost almost every single one across the entire pitch. Like, the minutiae of how we concede the goals we'll talk about till we're red in the face. Like, that was also bleak. But ultimately, across the entire pitch, we didn't match them for intensity. It was a mismatch, and it was fucking shite. Salah needs to be withdrawn when he's playing bad. Salah again. You're never likely to take Salah off when you're chasing a game like that, I guess. Late on, you always want him on the pitch because you just never know. And even when Chiesa scored, you just never knew what was going to happen. Like, it could have been Salah with a moment of magic, a bit of inspiration from somewhere. But I agree, his whole performance was another one well below par, but he wasn't on his own. He wasn't in isolation at all. Everybody was off it today. I honestly, apart from Harvey Elliott and a little bit of Chiesa as well. Salah looked fatigued, honestly. I can't blame him for that when we've been playing him for almost every game. We need more rotation in the squad. Yeah, absolutely agree. Can't disagree with that. Dan Arena says, it's hard to criticise Slot for league title in the first season, but we've been leggy for 2 months now, and that's down to Slot's lack of rotation. Can't disagree with a single word there. Like, you're preaching to the choir on that one, genuinely. Again, I'm not being smart after the fact. Like, I've been saying this for a while. I remember standing in front of that board over there, pre-Nottingham Forest, and being shell-shocked that he didn't make more changes for that game. And I know we went on to lose that game eventually, but it felt like the individual matches and the performances were almost irrelevant in all of this, because it always felt as though we could get to a situation whereby we started losing players either through injury or the tolls of the season started to show. And here we are. This is what it is. Like, this, we're living it now. We are living that now. Anyway, so I was going to read this 1 second. Okay, that's pretty grim. Just been asked to go on the radio at 6 o'clock in the morning and talk about that. You think your life's tough right now. Right. The underuse of those players, where's that, sorry? The underuse of those players because Salah can't be withdrawn. No, it's not just Salah. I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe, but Chiesa can play across the front line. Elliott, I actually think of Elliott more as being back up and being able to get some rest into Saboz's line, like I say, Curtis Jones or McAllister a little bit, in the 10 position as opposed to Salah. I know Slot used him as a Salah understudy replacement, so they did in Paris the other week, but I still see him as being a midfield option who can, accommodate the likes of, the other lads being able to actually take a fucking breather. Anyway, Cammy says, I feel like after the Champions League exit, the Carabao Cup loss, that's Trent, Virgin, Mo gone. Finish on the high with the pen, but it's game over. Listen, the implications could well be far-reaching. How much impact, how much influence today has on that particular scenario, we may never know. Some of their minds may already made up. I think in one case it probably is. And listen, we haven't exactly nailed down the contract situation scenarios prior to being in, the Champions League quarterfinals, potentially, and the Carabao Cup Final. So how much stock is in that, I'm not sure, but you also could be right. Ultimately, it might be the final nail in the coffin for one or two of them, who knows. But yeah, it's got to be difficult. It feels like it's going to be difficult to get over this, and it might take a couple of days, to be honest, and get back up for the Premier League. Listen, I'll do it, I'll manage it, I'll find a way. But it does feel... I feel a bit crestfallen, to be honest with you. I feel disappointed, and I feel just all a bit meh about it all. And I don't mind losing games of footy sometimes. You can lose to the better team sometimes. That can happen. That's fucking par for the course. It's the nature of the game, like. But today was so flat. It was so underwhelming. I do feel bitterly disappointed by it. Like, I'm not one for hyperbole normally. Like, it's just not my style. But I kind of, I feel like it is a little bit unforgivable when you just lose because the other team wanted it more. Like, you've got to at least match their endeavour, at least match their intensity, and the best team then can win out on the day. I don't feel like we did that. Honestly, I don't feel like we did that, and that's what makes it hard to take. Really, really hard to take. Yeah. Unt says, Gakpo could barely walk versus PSG. Chiesa must start. Yeah, we might well see a bit more Chiesa on the run-in, let's be honest. And Harvey Elliott likewise as well. But every time I feel like I've said that this season, particularly with Harvey, he's not been seeing them for like 2 weeks. So make of that what you will. Oswald with a bit of spin on positivity for us. Let's move forward and win the 20th league title. Yeah. Do you know what? That is a complete accident. I will try and address that before I go. It absolutely wasn't intentional. There's a huge list of them here, and I will try and get back to them in a moment. Laney says, too passive tactically, out of possession on slot. I don't even know where to begin with that. With that, honestly, like the whole thing was. I normally, I'm scrolling up now. Who was the super chat I missed off? Sorry, let me just find that name again. Before we do just S. Yeah, again, normally I'd be willing to engage and like talk about the little tactical situations, the little moments in the match, but it feels pointless, which is a shit thing to say. But it just feels like the long and short of why we lost that game of footy. This is also true. I think I missed this super chat as well before. Hawks as well with super chat. Thank you very much. I missed that. I was worried in second half of extra time against PSG. Our legs are gone, and this just feels like it's all caught up. There was nothing left today. Just hoping we get back to end the season well. Yeah, here on that. By the way, I absolutely agree. And I know a lot of people don't like the legs excuse, but I can't avoid it, to be honest with you. Because that's just how it feels to me. And there are moments in the game whereby we look full of energy and we do look full of running. But I just think across the course of it, when a team comes at you with that level of intensity, that level of pressing, we've been found wanting twice, really. 3 times if you include the first leg over in Paris too. It just feels like we just run on empty a little bit and we're grasping for something that isn't quite there. Like I touched on it pre-match about having gears to go through. And I wanted Liverpool to have gears to go through, but I'm not sure that we're capable at the minute, unfortunately, which is a bleak place to be in. Rohan with Super Chat as well says, FSG need to answer for not reinforcing the squad. Yeah. Possibly, quite possibly. I'm gonna say something here now, and I might be speaking ever so slightly out of turn on this, but I'm gonna just address that small elephant in the room momentarily. There's a couple of things that, listen, we're all Liverpool fans ultimately. Let's get that there straight away. Like, I'm just a Liverpool fan who happens to be sat here speaking to you guys. That's literally it. That's all this is. Which is boss. Fucking love my job, apart from when we lose and we're shit. But so I'm gutted when we lose. I'm gutted just like you are. Exactly the same boat, like fuming, annoyed, etc. But there's 2 things for us as like an entity, as a business, as fans as well, ultimately. And me in particular, I'm speaking from a personal point of view, actually. Let's slightly shift that conversation. There's 2 things that I love Liverpool doing, right? And they just so happen to be sort of best for business as well, if you like. And it's winning games of footy, trophies as well, they go hand in hand. And it's transfers. Like, if anyone's been following the channel, since I arrived here anyway, you'll notice that I cover and we cover transfers to the absolute minute, the tiniest detail. Like, we speak to so many people in the round deals who know that player better than we do, especially from, like, you know, foreign climbs, Chiesa, for example. And they're big wins for us as a thing. They're talking points, they give us content, etc., etc., etc. So why people would think that we don't want Liverpool to sign players is fucking beyond me. Like, it's absolutely beyond me. And I know I've gone slightly off topic here, but it just needs saying because I don't get it. Like, you might be right about the FSG thing. Listen, if Arne Slot and Richard Hughes have gone to FSG with their cap in the hand saying we need to buy 2 players in January, and FSG have turned around and said, no, you're not having them, I'm sorry. That's fucking bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. And I want Liverpool to sign players. I want Liverpool to be the best version of Liverpool that's humanly possible. And if today is a direct result of not signing footballers, then I'm fuming with it, just like you are. Okay. Anyway, I'll have to get that off my chest. I'm sorry. Let's dive into the chat. I am still trying to find them super chats. There's a whole list of them that I've not been able to track down, to be honest with you, which I am doing my best at as we talk. Maybe PSG weren't that good. We are just poor now. Yeah, possibly. And yeah, there's been a few performances, like even games that we've won, like I said earlier on, like the Wolves match. We were dreadful, dire in the second half of that. And there's been one or two that we've, again, picked up the points from or got through, but it's been PSG. But it's been a bit like, oh, we weren't at it there. We got away with one, dodged a bullet. It feels like we have been, just running on empty ever so slightly of late. And we need to go and recharge the batteries and try and finish the season strong, as strong as we possibly can. How confident are we to win the league? Left back and a forward we should have bought in January. Yeah, listen, the left back thing. Left back thing's a thing, and that's 100% one to address in the summer now. Likewise, a centre forward, I think, as well. And there's probably a couple more that need to happen too, I would say. But yeah. It's a shame Chiesa didn't get more chances this season. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Newcastle just wanted him more 100%. How have this squad won a league? Yeah, being frustrated with Slot, not trusting certain players, needs to be braver and less stubborn. Possibly. Is this sarcastic? I can't work it out. I really hope it is. Yeah, possibly. And with you, I can accept losing for 3 start games. It's really mind-boggling. Yeah, I did a whole thing about setting the tone earlier on, in the game, and like putting the marker down and winning your battles and all that shit, and it was just not even close to it. Not even close to it. To lose is one thing, to get bullied is unacceptable. Absolutely agree with this, Stephen, wholeheartedly as well. I think the break is needed, especially, to stop being reactive. We lost one game in the league this season. Yeah, listen, we're still a decent footy team. Lost count of how many times this is lost count of how many times we had a game done and dusted and Grav was left on. It's his first real season and he was running to the ground. And do you know what? Absolutely concur with that as well. And Gravenberch was always the example I used earlier on the season when I'd ever dare to touch on the fact that maybe we need to rotate a little bit more. Because with Gravenberch, you're right, it's been a few seasons since he had anything like this amount of minutes under his belt. Like, Ajax, he was obviously a really sort of pivotal point of their side, and he played a lot for them. Then he had a complete non-starter of a season over in Bayern Munich. He was a little bit stop-start last season, and now all of a sudden we've gone, right, you're boss. And he's boss. But that therefore means that you're going to play almost every single minute. Like, it's been coming, potentially. Let's put it that way. And I do think we're seeing the effects of it now, to be fair. Endo is criminally underrated. Yeah, he's been good. Listen, it's hard to disagree. That's been the case, hasn't it? That has been the case. And unfortunately, I'm not going to go as far as say the wheels are coming off, but it looks as though we are just starting to fade as the season draws to its conclusion, which ultimately means we are out of the Champions League and we've been beaten in the Carabao Cup Final. And, to coin a very popular phrase right now, humbled a little bit in the Carabao Cup Final. Let's have it right, because we were shite. Right, let's just dive back into here momentarily. What's this? Here we go. Right, let's scroll right up to the top. 1 second. I'll be with you now. Jeff Forkinson, last 9 games for falling off a cliff. It's worrying. It is very worrying. I'm just trying to find a couple of super chats in particular. Daniel Ogwezi, we need players, don't blame Slot. Gosh, Salah was poor. He was indeed. Ramadan came early for Salah. Energy zapped, says Zoc. Listen, it's often been post AFCON where he's come back and struggled to recapture his earlier season form. But there's no two ways about it. Like, he's having a real dip at the moment, and coincidentally, so are Liverpool. Scrolling back up to the top now. Hitching Baz. How can we leave their tallest, most dangerous player free on a corner? Stick a man on him. Their mid block is stopping us from playing. Oh, that's earlier on, actually. That must be earlier on. Yeah, I think we've gone too far. That's fine. Right, I think we're okay. S, I still can't find your super chat at all. Let me have one last scan down before you moan at me again. Hitching Baz is done. Hawks is done. It's just Absolutely vanished. I can only apologise. I've looked 3 times. I've done nothing but look. Oh, hang on. And of course. When are you guys going to criticise FSG? No investment again. Don't worry, you'll be okay. The club will give you some nice access, an interview or two. Right then. I'm glad I found it. Okay. I don't know what you think we get from them, but let me tell you right now, it isn't what you think. Not even close to it. I don't understand. Every single thing that we do, we have to beg, plead, and borrow for often, to be honest with you. Like, some of the lads are great. Obviously, the boss. We have some decent relationships with some of the players. It's fine. But honestly, the opinion that we get, like, shit from them is wild to me. Wild. I wish, let me put it this way, I wish we had the access and the link that people out there thought we did. I really do. I'd kill for that, but we don't. That's the best way I can put it. I can't. I'm not going to speak openly about the inner workings of what we do in our relationship with them, because that's stupid. But honestly, some of the shit I see, some of the bile I see day in, day out, I honestly wish it was true. Because we'd get some boss stuff. But anyway, yeah, it is what it is. I'm going to start wrapping up now. It's fine. Honestly, don't worry about it. It's honestly, I'm all right. I'm more disappointed by the result than that nonsense. Let's have it right. Like, I'm just fuming that we got beat by Newcastle and we were shite. I couldn't care less about the other stuff. Makes no odds to me. No, it's fine. Honestly, it's fine. To be fair, I missed his super chat earlier on, so that's on me. It's been a long time waiting there, and he's asked a couple of times for me to find it, so it's on me for missing it in the first place. I'm glad I went back and addressed it. It would have been unfair of me to find it after all that time and then not speak on it, but I'm just going to tell you the truth, and that's how it is. We don't. We just don't. Here we go. Last couple of bits now. Daniel Lim says, it's not that bad as someone making it out to be. I don't know what the hell does that mean? Yeah, he was. I sometimes go and, like, I was on BBC Radio 5 Live this morning on radio. It doesn't mean, like, you know, I'm pally with BBC either. I don't get that. Doesn't make any sense. We sometimes get invited to go on Liverpool stuff, yeah, but that's not because, like, we have some sort of special relationship. That's just because some people here are decent to talk about footy. Yeah, anyway. Have I not? Holly, don't do this to me. Is yours having a go with us for FSG as well? Because if I've got to find that after all this. He doesn't, Kieran, actually. Thanks for the super chat, though. But he doesn't ever. He certainly doesn't. If he did, I'd have a lot less left on my mortgage, I think. And my car would be 10 times better. Lost count of how many times we've again done. Oh, we've read that one. 12 million Chiesa and 30 million on a goalie we don't even have yet. That's it. Roy Evans spent 8.5 million on Colin Moore alone. Yes, it was 1995. But what is going on? Yeah, I agree. We need signings. And we definitely need signings this summer. A lot of them will hinge on what happens with contracts, obviously. But I'm anticipating and hoping for a big summer. Because again, that's what we want. It helps us. Lewis H. Newcastle deserve huge credit. Sometimes just got to save the excuses and accept the situation. Still has a lot of work to do. We go again. Yeah, I agree with that completely. I've read that one already, and the answer's still nothing. This week has been awful, but our season's not over. We need to refocus and concentrate in the league and end on a high. Yeah, here to that last bit as well. But it does feel difficult right now, doesn't it? Let's be honest, because it all feels like it's coming crashing down a little bit and going out with a little bit of a whimper, which is shit because it wasn't supposed to be this way. I never signed up to the quad talk personally. I was very reluctant to sign up to the treble talk as well, to be honest. But to go out in this fashion, in this manner, having been eliminated in midweek from Champions League, it felt like the silver lining from midweek and the cushion from the disappointment of that was today and the Premier League table looking so handsome. And now we've lost one of those buffers. It's difficult to pick myself up, and I imagine you guys are feeling very similar, to be like, okay, we'll dust ourselves down and we'll focus on the league. We will, absolutely we will, but it'll just take some people longer than others, which is fine. It's fine. We all support this football club and we all deal with things in our own ways. Last few comments now. We've said a few times already, but there we go. It's not even half as painful as PSG. Oh, I don't know. It's a final, it's a final. Oh, it's pretty grim. VR is not doing a very good job at all. They should have given Liverpool a hand. But yeah, maybe they should have. I'm very, very reticent to focus on details like that because I just look how bad we were. And if that penalty goes our way, who knows? Might be a different story. But we were bad, weren't we? Newcastle weren't. Newcastle were not. Cray 62 says, hard to take after Tuesday. Don't know if international break is good, but I feel like it's good. Genuinely feel like it's good right now. Chiesa might be rusty, but he oozes class. This one hurt more. Effort was awful for the final. Yeah, 100%. 100% agree with that. Right. I feel like that's enough of that. Right. Yeah. Sound. It was always gonna go into that type of show, wasn't it? And it's fine. Yeah, that was wild to me. And listen, if it had been the first one, you'd have gone, okay, that's a bit fucking daft, but at least it was the first one. But I was like the fourth corner whereby I'd been marking him, and it felt like they were getting first contact on all of them. Yeah, it felt pretty inevitable to me. But still, like, he scores a header from about 14 yards out. Like, oh, why has he got a free run at it? He's like 6'9". Anyway, done. It was not very good. Is that true? Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, fine. I don't know what you're referring to necessarily, but what I can tell you is that was pretty shit. And I'm pretty sure that's the truth, to be honest with you. So anyway, that's that. Let's wrap up, and I'm going to go over and do what should be a pretty bleak player ranking show. Come and join me.